how did the transcontinental railroads get built? U.S. government. The opening up of the exploitation of all of publicly owned natural resources, subsidies from the U.S. government. So we should really get away from the ineptitude of the U.S. government. There are a lot of smart people in government.
Hi, Brant Cooper here. I'm fortunate I get to travel around the world speaking with startup founders, investors, ecosystem developers. I've learned a lot in my travels. I've got some stories, and I have some thinking that I love to share. Welcome to Brant's Rant.
So you maybe heard about the antitrust case brought against Google. So pretty extraordinary. I think pretty extraordinary, especially given a Republican-run White House. Though, Trump certainly wouldn't be considered a sort of a typical old-school Republican when it came to business matters anyway. More of an opportunist, so he's going to go with whatever. Plus, I think that there's a conservative angle of wanting to bring down big tech, not because they're monopolies, but because they feel like there's bias against them. So that's not a topic I'm particularly interested in because it's really sort of demagoguery. But the fact that the U.S. government is finally paying attention to any antitrust measures at all is actually pretty extraordinary and good to see. A couple weeks ago, there was the House body on antitrust that released its report, and an absolutely extraordinary report, just a scathing review of the practices of GAFA, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and really the anti-competitive practices that they've been doing now for quite a while, and really just brazenly. Some of the quotes inside the report, it's a pretty difficult report to get through, but you can see some articles on it, or follow Matthew Stoller on Twitter, and he's done some pretty interesting recaps of that. And again, some of those companies are just flouting this in front of the government, and so we'll see what the ramification is of that. I think these cases tend to be super tough to bring. These big corporations obviously have legal teams that will fight this tooth and nail, and it'll cost a lot of money. But I'm really hoping that the government prevails and that the government takes really significant action. I'm for breaking these companies up. Again, their behavior is against the law fundamentally, number one, and it's really just again just daring the government to take them on. And so, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. I think that this will, this is going to bring out my favorite clan of Silicon Valley neo-libertarian tech bros. I don't think that they are real libertarians in the sense that I don't think that they've ever studied libertarianism. Uh, Libertarians are very much for laissez-faire, but a lot of the arguments are really super shallow, and it doesn't go beyond a whole lot than just not liking big government. And I think that if you look at it from the true libertarian standpoint, I think that there is a lot to fear from big government. Big government typically is going to go after the powerless. That's who they're going to take advantage of. They want to get in bed with the powerful. And of course, that's what's happened with most of the corporations. The big corporations are in bed with the government. It's called a corporatocracy, right? Is when the corporations actually own the government. And that's sort of the case that we're in now with legislatures, congressional bodies on both the left and right, and typically the presidential candidates having taken, hundreds of millions of dollars from Wall Street companies and big corporations, and so they are very responsive to these massive corporations. That is their constituency. And again, I actually think it's been very much a left and right thing, and or in other words, both Democrats and Republicans have both been brazenly pro corporate, and I think that there's a very strong case to be made for the the severe right side that was pro Trump back in 2016, and the Barry Sanders side were both aligned with being anti-corporate. And Sanders just didn't beat out Clinton, and so what you had was a lot of people going straight from Sanders to Trump. Plus, then the right wing. Remember, Trump beat all of the corporatist Republican candidates, um, and was sort of aligning himself as a populist. Now, once he got into office. Again, he's an opportunist, so he really wasn't going to take on all of the money or the corporations. There was nothing in it for him. So why that right wing is still pro Trump with respect to that, I don't know, except that all the demagoguery and the misogynism and the racism, that's where it comes into play. It is less about now their economic insecurity and more about being anti-black and anti-Hispanic and anti-immigration. But anyway, not to get into all of that, though I guess I just did. Really, the interesting thing is you've got people on both in Congress and the presidency. You've got left and right that are saying, "Wait a second, these tech companies, especially, have gone too far." The response that you see that is antitrust, that is pro-tech, is really pretty extraordinary to me. And I think that this really comes about because of, number one, is a lack of trust of the government, like I mentioned before. And the second thing is that they really don't believe that the government is capable of understanding what's going on in the big tech, and so therefore should keep their hands off. But that's that's silliness. There's this really this argument that the government is inherently inept and that corporations, especially tech corporations, are inherently efficient and inherently smart is complete BS. It totally ignores the fact that all of this technology was originally funded by the government. Yep, libertarians, it was not the visionary entrepreneurs, nor was it, Paul Graham and Draper and all of these self-flagellating venture capitalists that led to the revolution. The big technology revolution happened because of government funding, government subsidies, government making markets, government acting as a customer. That's what starts it, and it's what starts all big technology revolutions. How did the transcontinental railroads get built? U.S. government. The opening up of the exploitation of all of publicly owned natural resources, subsidies from the U.S. government. So we should really get away from the ineptitude of the U.S. government. There are a lot of smart people in government.
Hey, thanks for listening to Brant's Rant. If we're choosing capitalism here as a society, then let's make it work for a better world. If you'd like to join me as we redefine capitalism for the 21st century, go to beatcoop.co/D4A. Also, if you have a pressing issue that you're facing in your innovation group, your product group, your startup, and want to join me on video, see the link below. Subscribe, like, see you next time.